All right, Assalamu alaikum. So the last part that I think is really good to know to be able to navigate properly through Chem 30 is the math property of distributive property, or the function of distributive property. And what that basically is you could say it's the goal of distributive property is how to remove brackets, okay, from an equation or a function. You can also say slash function. And we do that, or we remove the brackets from an equation, usually to gather like terms, but we do that with the general rule stated here, that everything outside the brackets multiplies everything inside the brackets. And I'll show you what that means in our example down below. Now let's say I have this function here, which is 2 bracket x minus 3 minus 2. And I want you to remove the brackets from this equation. The rule is that everything outside the brackets is going to multiply against everything inside the brackets. And what we're going to do is do it one variable at a time. So 2 times x, right? I'm going to put a little asterisk for the multiplication here, is going to equal to 2x. When that one's done, we go to the next one, and I put a little check mark here. The next one, 2 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 6. And now we can check this one off. So I should have both of them checked off. And then finally, 2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 4. And this process is called distributive property, where we multiply everything outside the bracket by everything inside the bracket, and then we get the brackets removed. And so why do we even want to do this in the first place? Well, often when you're solving, more complicated math and science questions, you're going to want to gather like terms in the end. And so this really helps with being able to do that. Now, what if there are 2 sets of brackets and we don't see any numbers outside the bracket? What do we do then to remove the brackets? So an example of this would be 2x plus 3, and then bracket 5x minus 8. Now when things are beside each other in math, we know that it means that it's this whole bracket multiplied by this whole bracket. Okay, so when you're dealing with 2 brackets, I would recommend you use something that I call FOIL. And this is it's a classic algebra distributive property method to remove brackets from when there are 2 sets of brackets. FOIL is an acronym for first, outer, inner, and last. And it's referring to the order of operations inside the brackets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this one using the FOIL method. So the first part of this acronym, the F of the FOIL, tells us that we're going to multiply the firsts together. And what that actually means is the first number inside each bracket are going to multiply each other. So 2x times 5x. See, this is the first number in the bracket, and this is the first number in the bracket. So 2x times 5x gives us 10, and when it's x times x, that's x squared. The outer part of the acronym tells us that the first number, 2x, is going to multiply itself with the outside number of negative 8. And I'll put that as an arrow on top over here. And so first was the 2x and the 5x, literally the first numbers in each bracket. Then the outer means that you multiply the first term by the outermost term in the last bracket. So we call it outer. So 2x times minus 8 is going to give us negative 16x, and the x still stays with it because there's nothing to cancel it out. The inner part is going to refer to the numbers inside each brackets that are literally right beside each other or on the inside of this whole entire equation. So that would be 3 times 5x, and that would give us a number of 15x. The last part of the acronym, so we've done first, outer, inner, right? The one in red over here, the ones that are on the innermost side of each bracket, so they're right beside each other, the 3 times 5. The last are going to be the last numbers in each bracket. The last number in the first bracket is the 3, and the last number in the second bracket is the negative 8. So 3 times negative 8 is going to be negative 24. There is no x, so we're not going to put an x. This is the final equation that is left when we remove all the brackets, but it's not done yet because in math and science, when you can simplify, you should, or when you can add like terms, you should. X squared is not a like term with any of these because x and x squared are different. However, these two variables are like terms. They both have an x, so we can add or subtract them together. When we add negative 16 to 15, we end up getting negative 1x. And then the rest, because there are no like terms, they would just remain. So our final equation, after removing all the brackets and adding any like terms, is going to be 10x squared minus x minus 24. If you have any other questions about how to expand these brackets or to deal with bracket systems, please don't be shy to ask. And as well, this is an essential skill that you probably would have seen when we're solving the q is equal to negative q questions, solving for T-final in Chem 30. As well in physics, you're going to have to deal with stuff like this too in the forces units.